welcome back to Just Nicole, Life Changes After 40. I am super excited to have one of my beauty besties all the way from LA come on and jump with us today and talk about mindset. She is also a fellow boutique owner who, just like myself, made some tough choices last year and decided to do something different, which aligned with what makes her happy. So I'm super excited that Amanda's here. So hello.
Hello. Thank you for having me.
Yes, absolutely. Well, I was just talking about mindset and how, people can have limited mindsets or open mindsets and really just being able to look at the big picture of things. I feel like as women, we are so worried all the time about what other people think, and we make a lot of our decisions based on what other people think. So I wanted to bring you on here because last year you had a lot of big changes. One of them being very similar to what I'm experiencing now, which was closing your boutique. So tell us a little bit about yourself first, what your boutique was called, and kind of what made you decide to make that change.
Okay, so my name's Amanda, and I live in Southern California, and I owned my boutique for 12 and a half years. And it's something I always wanted to do, but straight out of college, I actually went to work with special needs children. I was a behavioral therapist. And during that time, I didn't feel I was truly fulfilled on what I was doing and wanting. So I always knew I wanted to be an entrepreneur and own my own business, no matter what it was. But of course, fashion always appealed to me. And I decided just to go for it. So I was 27 years old when I opened my boutique. The first location was in our mall, our local mall. We only have one mall here. And it was very challenging opening that because I did this on my own. I did it because I come from a very business oriented family. And of course, they would have helped me and encouraged me. But I wanted to do this because I had to prove to myself that I was capable of doing it. I was good enough to do it. And I could do it. So I literally, just for me, it was finding the best location. So I found my, first location in the mall, and oh my God, it was so hard. I'm like, what am I doing? When you
Out.
yeah, you wish you could go back and do so much different. And that's where I feel like I want to help others, because I wish I had that 12 and a half years ago. It'll be almost 13 years. Actually, 13 years ago. In January was 13 years that I started my process. I wish I had that help and those questions. But, again, it was me. I don't think I was being stubborn. I just wanted to do it again for myself. So I opened it, and, the first year was very rough. I moved locations. Then I was at that location for almost seven years. It was getting better. It was still really, really rough, but things started transitioning to the online world. That's when Amazon became powerful. Shein wasn't in yet, but that's when Amazon really, everyone like, oh, I just got this off Amazon for $20. And so I was competing now with a multi-billion-dollar company, and talk about a small fish in a big pond.
And that's a mindset shift too, right? To believe that I
Yes.
have something of value. You come to me. I'm a person. I can help you. It's not automation, so you have to kind of overcome that mindset too, that I am good enough to continue doing this. Yep.
Well, but during that time, I didn't think I was good enough. I'm like, I don't think I can do this anymore. I mean, if I got $1 for every time I wanted to like doubt myself or want to close, I would, yeah, I would have a lot. So it was a lot of self-doubt.
Mm-hmm.
Every day I questioned my choice, my decision. Is this meant for me? Why did I do this? And then I still had to, like, through all of that, I had to figure out, okay, well, what my why is. And that's one thing that's always been, what is my why? Why am I doing this? And I had to kind of dig deep within myself, because clearly I was doing it for a reason. And, that another year would go by, another year would go by. But it's weird because even in that time, okay, oh, she was open for 7 years. Oh my God, great. But like, I still didn't feel successful,
Yeah.
but that was also my mindset, because no one else was telling me I wasn't successful. Not one person said. If anything, people put me on a pedestal, like, oh my God, Amanda, that's amazing. Like, but it was within my mind that I was like, but I'm not, I could be making more money. I could be doing this. I could be doing that. So as you know, Nicole, it's a constant mind game, and it
Yep.
never. I would think about it going to bed. I'd wake up thinking about it, no matter what I was doing. If I was at my kid's baseball game or, my daughter's dance, I'm still thinking about it because it's like it doesn't turn off. So I
Mhm.
finally got. Do you want me to go into
Yeah,
me
tell
closing?
us what, like that shift that you finally said,
Okay.
this is, I'm, I'm going to put me first. Whatever that
Okay.
shift is
So
for you.
during all of that, I really went hard though on the online store, and it was doing extremely well.
Yeah.
So when that saying is, "Don't fix something if it's not broken." And I
Right.
think, and I made a mistake of, oh my God, I'm doing so well. Let me go to even a better location. So I went to a location about 10 minutes away. But when I say better, it's a central place that connects. I live in a town about 600,000. I'm still in Los Angeles County, but we're on the outskirts. But yeah, about 600,000. So that's the busiest connection and gateway between my town. And I was right there. I was in a very, very good shopping center, and I moved there, put all this money into the remodel, had high hopes. And then that's when I feel things came crashing down. I would say January 2022. That's when I opened that location. Um, it didn't feel right. And I kind of would sit there and be like, what did I do? Why did
Yeah.
I move here? Because I'm a people pleaser and I listen to my customers. They wanted more. They wanted a
Mm.
bigger location. They wanted better parking. They wanted this. They wanted that. And it was like, okay, well, that's when I was a people pleaser because I don't think I am anymore. But I'll get into that right now. So I ended up, you know, I could feel like slowly, like it was like a tower, and I could feel it like slowly the tower was crumbling.
Mm.
This little empire I made for Sassy Couture was crumbling down, and everything just started kind of falling apart around me. I had so many issues. My biggest was my employees. I'm not saying all my employees. I'm not dissing them, but it was very hard to find people that wanted to work. It was very
Mhm.
hard to find
Business
people
owner
that,
listening is probably
yeah,
thinking this thing. Yeah.
yeah, that
Yeah.
want
Makes you
that,
question things even
yeah,
more too. Yeah.
or that had your work ethic. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
And no one's ever going to be you. And
Right.
you know, I started pulling back from my store, as I would say, like about this first 6 7 months, I couldn't pull back, but I would say like about 8 months in of 2022, I started pulling back, and my employees started to notice. My manager, who was one of my dear friends, who I still talked all the time, we were very, very close. And you met her, Nicole, Salma,
Mhm.
and she
Yep.
started to notice. She saw me not really wanting to be in there anymore. The passion wasn't there, the excitement wasn't there. And then I'd walk into my store and kind of just look around, and I felt like I don't know if it was
Yep.
empty,
Yeah. It's just a
defeated.
reason too.
Yeah,
Yeah. You
I,
just feel like I resent coming here. It's not bringing me joy anymore.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
not filling that void that once felt a
No,
void. It filled a void for us. We've been filling voids for other people. But
yes,
at that point, you realize I'm not finding joy in this.
no,
It's sucking the life out of all the things that I wanted this to bring in
it,
positivity.
yeah.
And it's just an easy shift. I remember having many conversations with you and
I call you
finally,
a lot.
yeah, all the time. And I can just remember that shift in you that you were just like, okay, I'm ready. And
I
so when I wanted to do this podcast episode, you're the first person I thought about because I felt like, I helped you kind of, it's okay, it's okay, it's okay. And then when I got to this point, you were like, girl, promise, you're going to look back on this day
and
and go, "Why didn't I listened
telling
sooner."
Yeah, I remember telling you that multiple times too. I said, Nicole, like you're gonna know when you're just done.
Yeah.
And so last year at this time, this is what's crazy. It's ironic is that March 15th is my anniversary in my boutique. So this March 15th, it would have been 13 years. But
Mhm.
last year, I was going to go celebrate my 12 year. And I remember because I'm part of the local chambers. That's one thing is big on in my heart is community, small businesses. So I was very, very involved in that. And they're the ones who said, look, why don't we have a 12-year anniversary, like big celebration? Because I didn't have a
Mhm.
ribbon cutting. Because I also didn't want a ribbon cutting because I didn't feel like, what are we celebrating? why are we having a ribbon cutting? So they're like, well, let's just do like, we'll call it a celebration anniversary. I said, okay, I'm good with that. So this is when I think, and this is when the shift happened. Um, it was a very busy day. I had almost 200 people that came out, and I had all the local chambers. I had, the pageant girls with their crowns. I had big city officials come out. My family came out. It was a very, 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 a big, big thing. And then all of a sudden, a shift in me changed because I started feeling I'm like, what am I celebrating? Why, when in the back of my mind, I want to close my store.
Right.
So all day I was faking my smile, and I'm not a fake person. And it was really, really hard. And people who say that my expressions are through my face, they're like,
Mm-hmm.
we could look at you and we can see that you are just not okay. And the real people that were there knew, or not the real people, the people that truly knew me, they knew I wasn't okay. I was smiling in front of the camera, accepting all these things from the city. And then I was sorry. I was accepting all these things from the city, and I was, really, really, really like, but I didn't feel special. I didn't feel enough. And
Mm-hmm.
and as bad as it sounds, Nicole, that's when I knew, I'm like, I need to close my store because my
Yeah.
mental health was getting affected, and it was already getting affected. But that day, I had so much self doubt and so much stress and anxiety, and thinking like, what am I doing? Why
Mm-hmm.
am I putting this parade of a celebration on? So that
Yep.
happened, and that's about the time I contacted my landlord. Actually, I'm sorry, that's the third time I contacted my landlord at that point, because remember, I had called him crying, saying I can't do this, I can't do this, but he would encourage me, just keep going, Amanda. Spring is going to pick up. Spring is going to pick up. So then I was like, okay, fine. Spring, it didn't. Not that it didn't pick up. It's, to me, it wasn't good enough.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
But I
and
think
like,
at that point you realized that this isn't what I want and it's time to make a change. And I think that's the main thing that I want to take from this is that
yeah.
so many times we as moms, we feel like we have to meet a standard of what other moms think we should do or do all the things for our kids when they could do them themselves. But
Hmm.
then when they're grown and all you've focused on for how many years is taking care of them, who is your title then? As
Yeah.
business owners, we feel like we have to show up every day for other people. But then if that business is gone, what's left? So I think there's so many situations for a woman, and I'm sure for a man as well, right? But we're focusing on women
Yeah.
here. They go through so many things and they live through these, but I should have. I wish I would have, but what if? What are people going to think of me? You and I had this conversation. What are people going to think of us when we decide that we want to close our businesses because we're no longer
Well,
finding the joy? And I think at the end of the day, it doesn't matter because I need to look out for number one. I need to look at if this ain't bringing me joy, how can I give joy to the people, right?
well, and I was so worried about like, who am I going to be after Sassy? Who's Amanda? Because people knew me as Sassy Couture. They would have me in their phone as Sassy. It wasn't even my first name. And
Right.
I'd go anywhere in the town, anywhere. I mean, I'd be in a bathroom. Hi, I know you don't know. Are you Amanda? Hi, I'm one of your customers. Like, it was constant, constant. So like, I felt like my identity in a sense. I said, okay, but now that you strip away Sassy Couture, who am I going to be? Who are people going to know me as? Are people going to still have respect for me or view me as an entrepreneur still, or a small business owner at heart? Like, so that was playing in my mind. Um, because from that day that I decided I wanted to close, like officially close, it still took me 2 months to actually announce it. But um, it took one conversation with my dad again, who are they're very, very successful business owners of a very popular franchise, and they know what they're doing. And I didn't want to have that conversation with him because, again, I didn't feel like I was even at their level. But we had that conversation, and he just said some things in that conversation, and I literally called my manager Salma, and I said, "Hey, I'm we're announcing it. I'm done." And she's just like, "Really?" I said, "Yep." I told her what to post. I said, "Find a picture. I don't even know what picture you want to use." And she literally announced it the next day at noon that we were closing down. Yep.
And you're still alive.
And
I
I,
think that's the
yeah,
takeaway for people. You can
and
make
you know what?
hard decisions and you're
Yeah,
still going to be alive.
but you know what, Nicole, like, and this is what I want. And that's why I said, if I could just help one person, you are mourning something though. It wasn't
Oh,
like you are mourning something. Even though someone actually didn't physically die,
mm-hmm,
a part of me died that day. You know what I
mm-hmm,
mean? Because that was a part of me for 12 and a half years. And
mm-hmm,
I didn't give myself time to mourn it. I kind of was like, okay, done. And then I just, went into this and went into that. And um, so now that I'm in a healing phase in my life, because my mindset and everything has shifted, I'm
mm-hmm.
mourning my store barely now. I mean, months later, because I'm mourning a lot of things in my life that's also going on. So now I'm able to mourn my store and realize, like, okay, I didn't really process it, and I didn't give myself time to heal.
Yeah.
And I have no regret now.
Mm-hmm.
Um, do I get sad? I wouldn't say I get sad. I mean, but I miss, like I told you, Nicole, like thousands of times, I miss like the community. It's a
Mm-hmm.
community that was built. Um, the stuff that I had in my store, like I bring all these women together. We have meetings and seminars and prayer groups and Bible studies, workshops, and the most random things there. But it was like everybody would come together in my store.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because after I closed, all those small business people, I had pop-ups in there. I had 20 vendors in there a lot, to help them out. And they all said, after you close your store, Amanda, like a sense of the small business community died because I felt like it was bringing it together. And that's what made me sad. I'm like, there's really nothing I can do because I didn't have a storefront anymore. And then with that being said, I also decided to close my online store. And I thought I was going to have the energy to do it. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm telling you, like when I say you get burnt out, and your drive and determination's gone, like it was gone. I had nothing left to me. I was an empty tank. I had nothing left to me to even just run the online store because it's still a lot, but
Right.
um
It's just as much work, if not more, because you have to enter it into a website versus just
yeah,
letting it show on a floor. So
yep. So
you
I decided
recognize and gave yourself permission to say again, no. And I
mhm,
think that's the biggest thing and the biggest takeaway of what I wanted for this episode was you can make hard decisions and you won't die. You can give yourself permission to look at the things that bring you joy and make those decisions based on what you want and to not always should yourself, could yourself, and, what will people think? Or, put yourself in a box of those limited beliefs. We've talked about beliefs a lot throughout the podcast, even with color or with weight
yeah.
loss. There's so many things in our life that you really just need to think about you. It's not vain. It's not selfish. It's kind of like putting the mask on in an airplane. If you don't
It,
give yourself the air first, you're not going to be able to help other people.
and
Mm-hmm.
you have to and for me it took me 40 years to realize that. I mean, again, things I wish I knew in my 20s and 30s, but it's okay
Yep.
because that's part of life when you grow up. You get smarter, you have more wisdom, you've gone through so much more. So like even 5 years ago, I probably wouldn't even be saying the same things on this interview as I would have now. But it took me
Right.
40 years to get to this point, literally, because I turned 40 last year and I'm proud of it because I love my
Yep.
birthday. So I
Yes.
literally, you know, that
If
was
only the
also
people knew how much you loved your birthday.
oh, gotta
But one
celebrate.
big piece of Amanda is she was a survivor of a severe car accident. And I think that's a mindset shift in itself that makes you, one
And
hell of a woman and
yeah,
strong.
and that
Mm-hmm.
happened. Oh, so what 17-year-olds have that mind shift, that mindset? But I had to. I was in survival mode. To be told I wouldn't walk again, I'm like, no, 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 you're not going to tell me that. I'm going to walk again. I put my
Yep.
faith first, and I never thought I would be a 17-year-old person in a wheelchair. But that whole thing, I mean, that could be a whole other episode because
Yep.
that's where a lot of my survival mode, my mindset has stemmed from. Well, it's still that's
Mhm.
1,000% where it stems from, and
Yep. And I
that.
think that's important to note because a lot of the experiences that we go through in life
Mhm.
are what shift us and make us who we are. And we can either use those things and grow and learn and share, or we can use those things to be, woe is me. This happened. It's not fair. You know, it wasn't fair that you were in an accident
it
and could,
it wasn't, but
right.
I will. Um, there, my job wasn't done, and then God knew I had a bigger purpose, and that's
Mhm.
why I had to start finding my purpose. That's why I only do things that make me happy. And
Mhm.
I'm starting to not do things that don't make me happy and what doesn't serve me. And
Mhm.
and that's why, like, I'm doing, I'm working on something right now that I'm not talking about yet. But like, there's so much exciting things on the horizon. And also, I'm a real estate agent. I also got licensed after I closed my store.
Yep.
That's been a whole other adventure. But then I'm doing something else. And, again, you just got to keep on going. And um, you will always, always experience a rainbow after each storm. And you may
Mhm.
be in that pivotal moment where you're like, oh, my life's over. I can't go on. I could promise you, I put my life on it. You're going to be okay. And as my mom always said, this too shall pass, and it always does.
Yep.
And again, if you would have interviewed me 6 months ago, I probably would have already been crying and been like, I can't do it, because my mindset was completely different then than it is now. And
Yep.
even in these 3 months, I feel I've already grown so much in 3 months. I mean, and especially with, Nicole, you kind of know everything that's really going on in my life. And um, I don't know, when you talk to me, I don't know if you could tell the difference, because there was a difference when I used to always call you last year, like, about my
Yep.
life.
Big shift. And that's why you were the first person I thought of when I wanted to talk about mindset, because you have been through the trenches of many things that people go through in life, and they either choose to, woe is me, or grow. And
Yeah.
you are the example of somebody who has taken many experiences and you've grown, and you're a beautiful person. So I really appreciate you taking the time to jump on here and talk a little bit about your story. And I know there's lots of fun things to come with Amanda, and I'm so part of, or happy that I'm a part of your life and your story.